I don't think Jews who feel isolated and wary in this current atmosphere are simply hysterical or hallucinating. Ooh. Now this, okay? I think Contrapoints is a very intelligent person, even though I disagree with some of this and some of the choices she's made here. But like, I think this is an intentional subtweet or sub-post at... I think the subtext of this is the Hassan Ethan thing, because it's that community that uses the word hallucinating like all the time. On the other hand, if you get over yourself and support Palestinian emancipation and many others, I and many others will always welcome you with open arms. Most of the liberal Zionists either turned into Kahanist sickos, anti-Zionists, or at least can read the fucking room better and don't speak on it. I love how this is basically like the subtext here, I don't think he's clever enough to realize it, is like, if you don't talk about the situation the way we want you to talk about it, we're just going to harass you off the fucking edge of the earth until you shut the fuck up. What a fucking cowardly, spoiled fucking son of genocides, by the way. Like, the guy that like uses his Turkishness as an appeal to like minority opinion or Middle Eastern opinion when that country was literally founded on fucking genocide. Like, come on, like... This ratio. Ooh. Half and half. I upvoted it. I thought it was an okay post. It's alright. Pretty milquetoast, to be honest. Not really saying all that much, but that's kind of par for the course, right? Like, most people who talk about this conflict are not really saying all that much. Like, you understand that, say, like a post here talking about how... Let's say this was all just a post about how sad it is, right? You realize that as far as actually affecting the course of history, that's not really any more or less effective than spamming the internet with pictures of dead babies and saying genocide, 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 white supremacist, ethno-Nazi genocide. Like, you realize that neither of these things are particularly effective, right? It's just not to get ahead of ourselves, okay? Not to have pre-watched too much. Okay, this is what Contrapoints, who is a video essayist, who talks about all sorts of things, transphobia, Nazis, conspiracies. A lot of what she does is paywalled. She has been in run-ins with lefties before on very dumb shit about like non-binary identities or whatever. And honestly, most of what she does now is just kind of like paywalled content for her patrons, the occasional big YouTube video, concepts. Like, yeah, even like one video is about envy, another one's about being cancelled. It's like internet culture, lefty tinge, never really socialist or communist, but quite left-leaning. And obviously people have noted, okay, they've noted her silence on the Israel-Palestine conflict, you know, because we care about that. We don't care, for example, that all these people like Sean, Noah Samson, whatever, didn't say shit about Ukraine, you know, but they'll make 20 videos about Palestine. But, you know, it's just double standard, whatever. People have noted Contrapoints' silence on Israel-Palestine, and she's tweeted about it a few times, and most of the tweets she does about it are like fairly left-leaning. I think she called Netanyahu genocidal because of the Amalek thing, and more recently she's been challenging the far lefty side of things, not really on purpose. It seemed like she initially posted about Twitter being 50% Jew hatred, and then got challenged by lefties because she was shitting on a video about a guy doing the JFK conspiracy theory, that JFK was potentially killed by the Mossad because he didn't support Israel enough, right? So in any case, it seems like she's been a bit of a... She's noticed, I think, a little bit that a lot of the right-wing anti-Semitism that we used to usually expect to be just right-wing are now being believed by lefties as well. Like, it's no longer, if you think that Israel bombed the USS Liberty to get America involved in the Six-Day War or whatever, like, it's no longer an exclusively right-wing opinion. Like, you will find left-wingers who think that as well. You'll find left-wingers who believe the JFK thing. You'll find left-wingers who believe that AIPAC controls the American government. You'll have people who believe that America is a Zionist-occupied government, and they might even use that phrase. Anna Kasparian did, right? She's not really a right-winger by any standard, but at least not self-proclaimed. So, when it comes to anti-Semitism, everyone's in. Yeah, it seems that everyone... it has a place everywhere. It's a very unique form of bigotry. It's a very special form of bigotry. And it's a very open season, although it expresses itself in different ways. So she does this Reddit post, which is probably the most she said about the conflict at one point since the October 7th. No way Anna said Zog. She was on Pierce saying that America is a Zionist-occupied government. She used those exact words, yes. Anyway, I'm posting this to Reddit instead of Twitter, hopefully to minimize fragments being clipped out of context. Imagine if, really, Reddit makes you safe from clipping out of context. Sincerest apologies to the mods. So, many lefties feel betrayed because I haven't made a video on Palestine. Do they actually want a Contrapoints video about Palestine? Will they be happy if I get in the bath and pour milk on a mannequin of Benjamin Netanyahu? No. I have posted about Gaza occasionally and have quietly given money to Palestinian aid organizations. But I think what leftists really want is for me to join in their chorus of anger. They sense some hesitation on my part and are judging me very harshly on my presumed opinions. I'd rather be judged on my actual opinions, so here they are. Is Israel committing a genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. I also feel a lot of other things. 1. Doom. The week after October 7th, it was clear the mood among Israeli leaders and civilians was overwhelmingly kill or be killed existential panic and unstoppable lust for revenge. It's funny, like already, you realize that this already puts you like way to the left of the average person on Israel-Palestine, right? Like an Israeli liberal would read this and be like, excuse me, that's your mention of October 7th, that it would make the Israelis mad? Excuse me, Control F, Hamas. Oh, that's in their reply. Okay. Oh, that's in their reply. Oh, really? No Control F, Hamas? Like, yeah, like it's already enough to make an Israeli liberal go mental, but okay. Anyway. It reminded me of the US after 9/11. There was no reasoning or protesting them out of it, nor was it politically feasible for the US to withdraw aid to Israel on a time frame that would make a difference. It would have required replacing most of Congress and overturning decades of bipartisan strategy and diplomacy. Even in the best case scenario, it would have taken years, so there was a sense of futility. But worse, I mean, this is just completely true. Like, you were never going to get that revolutionary shift in American thinking at that time. 2. Misery. The leftist pro-Palestine movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Zionism in general. That is, opposition to the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. And here they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists, which had the following consequences. 1. It shrunk the coalition. Zionist is a very broad category. Most Jews are Zionist. Ooh. Anyone who supports a two-state solution is a Zionist. Oh no. Vadim Molding. It was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of Israel as a Jewish state? I don't see how this could happen without either a total internal collapse of Israeli society or else, nuclear war. As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. This is 100% true. People who think that American student university protesters are going to coax or pressure out the existence of Israel are delusional. They're wasting their time. The only thing that they're achieving is that they're making a few Jews around them more sympathetic to Israel. That's it. That's all it is. 3. It introduced dangerous ambiguities. The vagueness of Zionism as a political Satan enables all kinds of rhetorical abuses. On the one hand, right-wing Israelis hold up all anti-Zionist protests as existentially threatening and inherently anti-Semitic. On the other hand, there is a long history of anti-Semites using the term Zionist in deliberately unequivocal ways, Zog, etc. Anti-Semites are happy for the opportunity to misappropriate the now popular anti-Zionist label to legitimize their agenda, and many people are not informed enough about anti-Semitism to recognize when this is happening. These problems are mutually reinforcing. 3. Dread. The online left has spent the last 20 months distributing hundreds of photos and videos of dead Palestinian children. The main effect of this has been to create a population in a constant state of blood-boiling rage with no consequential political outlet. I fear this may be worse than useless. Anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism are conceptually not the same, and conflating them is dangerous. But in practice, the way Israel is perceived does seep out into attitudes towards Jews in general. I don't think Jews who feel isolated and wary in this current atmosphere are simply hysterical or hallucinating. Ooh. Now this, okay? I think Contrapoints is a very intelligent person, even though I disagree with some of this and some of the choices she's made here. But like, it's I think this is an intentional subtweet or subpost at I think the subtext of this is the Hassan Ethan thing, because it's that community that uses the word hallucinating like all the time. They love it. Maybe. Yes, there is communal trauma and hypervigilance. Yes, there's disingenuous right-wing ghouls at dismissing and censoring all criticism of Israel on the pretext of fighting antisemitism. But there's also a valid fear of historical anti-Semitic patterns recurring, and that fear gives power to the right-wing Zionist claim that only Israel can keep Jews safe. Does this mean Israel should not be criticized and sanctioned? Excuse me. Absolutely not. But it's something I don't want to risk contributing to if not outweighed by tangible benefits. So I approach the issue cautiously. For bitterness, much of the online left spent all of 2024 single-mindedly focused on Palestine and the complicity of Democratic politicians in sending aid to Israel. This campaign had the following effects. 0 Palestinian lives were saved. Not one fewer bomb or bullet was fired by the IDF. 2, it may have slightly contributed to the re-election of Trump, guaranteeing that the US will put no diplomatic pressure on Netanyahu for at least 4 years, and making protests against Israel both much riskier and less effective. Trump is also incidentally a menace to me and basically everyone I care about. A perfectly enlightened being would feel no bitterness about this, but I do. None of this is the fault of Palestinians, of course, who are overwhelmingly the victims here. I hope that someday American policy will shift in their favor, and I will continue to support that cause. TLDR, I see the situation as bleak, intractable, extremely divisive, and devoid of any element that could be appropriately transformed into political entertainment. That's why I haven't made a video about it. Hopefully, it goes without saying that these are my thoughts. I'm sure other breadtubers have different opinions. You know what's interesting is like, the thing here that she's saying is, I had 2 thoughts about this, but I've kind of maybe changed one of them. It's kind of like, the way I view this is, imagine if when the Russia-Ukraine war is starting, when the invasion is starting in 2022, imagine there were people at the beginning who were calling for like a no-fly zone, and a few other people, most people, warned against that because they believed that if you went too far with American intervention through a no-fly zone, for instance, all you would need is one American shooting down a Russian plane and then an escalation and a back and forth that would result in America and Russia in a hot war against one another. And that problem would obviously be 2 nuclear powers with very, very mutually exclusive goals, potentially raising the risk of a nuclear exchange, right? And that's like what no one really wanted. Also, American soldiers going to Russia to die and like, yeah, whatever. But it's worse than that. It's like, imagine if the opposition to the invasion in Ukraine was dominated by people who want to destroy Russia as a nation, who are calling for the Americans, the British, and the Europeans and everyone else to get involved and to storm the gates of Moscow and take down the regime because they're a cancerous entity that will never stop, that will never be contained. Imagine if that was what dominated the movement, and then like politicians are just sitting there like with no fucking idea what to do or how to respond to these demands, like abolish Russia, and then they just end up doing like fuck all, basically. That's kind of the world, I think, analogy for how Contrapoints feels. There's no such thing as a Russian civilian, like, yeah. And if that were like the predominant like popular opinion, you would just be, especially if, and prior to that, there was always like a kind of congressional friendship or like sympathy towards Russia. Yeah, you'd be in an impossible position. Like you would get nowhere. That's more or less where we are with this. My other thought, which I think maybe contradicts the one I just gave, is that in a sense, what she's kind of doing here is that she's already kind of, I would say it's over conceding, but it's not really. Like, I'm sure she believes it. It's not, I don't think she's lying to make the lefties happy. But there is kind of like a level of concession here where you throw yourself on the back foot because you get responses like this, okay? I made a few minor word choices substitutions to illustrate how her logic here is laughable. There's loads of these on Twitter, by the way. People are fucking so deranged. Okay. The pro-Jewish movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Nazism. You see how Nazism is Zionism. Oh. In general, that is, opposition to the existence of Third Reich as a Aryan state. It's fucking... I love how Jewish is Aryan. Oh my god. No hint of irony. This is a leftist, by the way. This is like a... Wait, is it? I can't tell. This is the Dana Project about the October 7th rapes. Contribute to Dr. Hamad's campaign, Gaza family. I think this is like a leftist poster, no? Worst tweet you've seen, Elon Musk. Yeah, this is a lefty channel. Yeah, okay. And here they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists, which had the following consequences. It shrunk the coalition. Nazi is a very broad category. Germans, most Germans are Nazis. Even then, like, do you realize that the most popular... I'm interjecting a few facts here because to make it quite humorous. The most support the Nazis ever got in a fair and free election was 37% of the vote. And even when they were literally engaging in voter intimidation and bullying and arresting their opponents, they got 42%. They never even got 50. They never even got a majority, like a simple majority. So anyway, anyone who supports two-state solution for the Third Reich is a Nazi. Surely you reach a position where you are so fucking, where you're comparing two things that are not comparable. Well done. That's why the sentence makes no sense, you fucking brain-rotted, Jew-hating retard. Like, Jesus Christ. Okay, it was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of the Third Reich as an Aryan state? I don't see how this could either happen without either a total internal collapse of Nazi society or else, nuclear war. As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. What analogy is there for two states in Nazi Germany? Well, that's the problem, because with Nazi Germany existing, there's never two states, right? There's one state, and it would be the Nazi state, and all the other European states would have been obliterated, right? That's how that would have worked. So, unfortunately, I do wonder how much she's kind of invited this with the whole, biting the bullet on... Or, well, she's not buying the bullet, she believes it. Like, believing this and then obviously saying that, like, well, the conclusion here is what we just can't really do all that much about it because America's very pro-Israel. But I don't know if I hold that criticism anymore, actually, because she's saying, like, it's quite clear that the lefty position is not comfortable with her because they have taken what she thinks is a reasonable position, which is stop the genocide, and turned it into oppose Zionism as a whole. Because I think Contrapoints is intelligent enough to know that, like, Zionism is Nazism is fucking insane. It's like, it's just anti-Semitic. Like, it's all it is. To make that comparison, I'm sorry, if comparing the Soviets to Nazis is anti-Semitic somehow, then sorry, yeah, comparing Zionism to Nazis is pretty anti-Semitic, yeah. But now, so yeah, that's what she posted. Pretty disgusting. Morbid. If you are, like me, a spoiled child of America and your focus after 20 months of live-streamed Holocaust of children in Gaza... Holocaust. Fucking hell, bro. Oh my God. Is still in your personal feelings instead of unconditional support to the victims of genocide, there is more honor in continuing to stay quiet. It's not about... How is it about her feelings? Do you realize that she's saying that she feels these things and then she's explaining, like, she's describing the situation? Time for Hassan to vague post, coward. Yeah, well. On the other hand, if you get over yourself and support Palestinian emancipation and many others, I and many others will always welcome you with open arms. Most of the liberal Zionists either turned into Kahanist sickos, anti-Zionists, or at least can read the fucking room better and don't speak on it. I love how this is basically like the subtext here. I don't think he's clever enough to realize it. Is like, read the room and don't speak on it, as in, like, yes, if you don't talk about the situation the way we want you to talk about it, we're just going to harass you off the fucking edge of the earth until you shut the fuck up. What a fucking cowardly, spoiled fucking son of genocides, by the way. Like, the guy that, like, uses his Turkishness as an appeal to, like, minority opinion or Middle Eastern opinion when that country was literally founded on fucking genocide. Like, come on, like... Oh God. Actual weaselly frat fuck. What did Casey Tron say? She said, drag her. Because they know it's about Contrapoints. Yeah. That's all. It's about Contrapoints. Fuck. They harassed Tom York for not speaking. They lie. Yeah, they did actually. Yeah. Are you Jewish? Yes. I'm a huge Jew. Fucking cultists, bro. That's the Radiohead guy. Yep. There's like so many of these. Denims. Oh, they're eating her alive for this. 63 words devoted to describing how bitter she is that Democrats lost an election over Gaza. Exactly 7 words referencing the ongoing extermination of human beings. Contemptible wretch. Welcome to basic literacy, I guess. Okay, that's how that works. Okay, sure. Ethan. Thank you, Contrapoints. It's important to remind people that there is space to be anti-genocide, pro-Palestine, but also against annihilating Israel. It is my belief that any lasting peace must have two elements: Palestinian self-determination and secure borders for Israel. Without both, peace fails. Without both, peace fails. Well done, Ethan, dipshit. Many leftists would rather focus on purity tests and social credits than having a meaningful and realistic conversation about creating a lasting peace. Their reaction to your post will prove my point, unfortunately. Damn. He's taking her down with him. Yeah, I sometimes wonder if Contrapoints sees like people like me or Ethan or Destiny or whatever supporting her. They're probably just she's probably just sitting there like, no, she needs a third way, because I don't think she fully aligns with me. Well, she definitely doesn't align with me or Destiny on it. Or probably Ethan to a degree as well. I'm trying to think of other creators. Hutch, she's friends with Destiny. They used to talk. Excuse me. Lots of people used to talk. Okay, would you believe that there are some people that I used to talk to, not even that long ago, okay? Before yesterday, there were people I used to, what do you mean used to talk to? What do you mean used to talk? Bro, she is for sure to the left of you. Yeah, but you see the difference is that, so if I were the Israeli version of Hassan, right? I would be fucking fuming that there's no mention of Hamas here. I'd be like, excuse me, what the actual cock are you talking about, lady? Really? The problem with October 7th is that it made Israelis angry and that scared you because they would hurt Palestine. Really, that's your concern? You see a bunch of Israelis getting slaughtered and raped and shot and kidnapped, held hostage for 20 fucking months, and your thought is, oh no, they might get angry and do war crime. Oh no, they might kill the people who. Oh no, they might kill the people who are celebrating the taking of the hostages. That's what you would do if you were like a pro-Israel. You'd be fucking molding at this statement. Like, this statement is not like a pro-Israel statement. Okay, right off the bat. How dare you accuse the victims of the biggest genocide of committing genocide themselves as well, all they're doing is defending themselves. What would you do? What would you do when your opponents come and massacre 1,200 people and commit rapes and kidnap people and kill babies and shoot up the fucking kibbutzim and shoot up left-wing communities that are actually supportive of Palestinians? How can you do that? And then they go back into their little tunnels and fire their rockets and say, yeah, we want to do this again and again and again and again and again a million times. And they're hiding in tunnels underneath all the civilian infrastructure. They won't let their civilians leave. And then they basically say, yeah, come get us. By the way, sorry, you have to like rip through an entire fucking civilian community just to get to us. What would you do? What would you do, Western lady? That's what they would say, okay? That's what they would say. That's their power, right? But me personally, I'm like, yeah, I don't think this is like a fucking subhuman. Like, this isn't the sign of like a bad person or anything. Like, this is someone that you can even like hold a fucking coalition with, because if there was someone coming from this area and someone coming from my area and they were wanting to pressure the US government, assuming they were still Democrats, to come up with a better alternative to the fucking GHF plan, because that's just a recipe for massacre and fucking suffering, okay, then that would be a thing that like I could get on board with, like the two of us could get on board with that kind of objective, right? Or even terms of ceasefire deals, or or stopping the aid blockade as it was happening, or transition to a new phase of the war, or we're not going to help you unless you make sure that like you can't just say total victory is your objective. You have to have an objective that ultimately can set this region on a path for statehood that's not under the Israeli rule. Like that could be a thing as well. You can build a coalition with this despite not agreeing on everything. What are your criticisms of her statement? One is I just don't think she's like pushing back hard enough on so many of the like lefty anti-Semitism, or the lefty deranged anti-Zionism that's actually fucking this situation so hard that like I think she could probably have hammered down on quite a few more points. I think also you shouldn't be ashamed of, or you shouldn't feel like, to appease left-wingers, or I don't even know if that's what she's trying to do, but you shouldn't feel like there's anything wrong with sympathizing with Israeli civilians who have dealt with October 7th, or there shouldn't be anything wrong with like actually describing the horrors of October 7th, and there shouldn't be anything wrong even actually with saying that, sorry, like it reminds you of the US after 9/11, but okay, this is one critique. It reminds you of the US after 9/11, America's response to 9/11 was to invade countries that they didn't need to invade. There was no reason to go into Iraq that had to do with 9/11, okay? Absolutely nothing. Like, America literally just lit the Middle East on fire over this. 9/11, slightly different. Afghanistan, different story because of bin Laden, Taliban, fuck it, whatever, harboring. That's a slightly different story. But this, like, there's no world where Israel just pushes Hamas back over the border and then just secures the wall and then just calls it a day and does diplomacy. That's not how that works. You can't do that, okay? And do you know who else actually seems to sort of hint to this position is Amnesty, because there's a really funny thing that I saw in this debate with the Amnesty person, and I think they make this case kind of indirectly in their report as well, where they talk about, is Israel just, is the entire military campaign in Gaza just genocide? I think the answer she gives is something like this. I'm in the right place.
Yeah, I just want to mention one thing that I haven't said before as well, that our conclusion in the report states that it is not there can be two objectives in Gaza for the Israeli military. It can be to defeat Hamas, which is a legal target. It's a military target, and we know that that's legally, that you can go after that legally under international humanitarian law. But there can be another objective that can coexist, align with defeating Hamas. And we see that as being a genocide of the Palestinian population. And the statements that we have looked into.
So what she's saying there is she's talking about, and she's describing the conclusion of their report, because this is an Amnesty rep. She's saying that what they believe when they say that Israel is committing genocide is they're saying that Israel is committing genocide alongside, like a side quest of a legitimate goal, which is to defeat Hamas, to target Hamas. So even if you say you want to appeal to Amnesty, then it sounds like what they're saying is they're not saying stop the war with that, or they're not necessarily saying it. That's not implying stop the war. That's implying, yeah, you can do your war, just don't do the things that we've highlighted as genocide, you know? And that could mean, you know, just be less tolerant of civilian collateral deaths, or, you know, get rid of that fucking crazy division commander who is allowing people to, or encouraging people to fire on civilians, even in a state of clear doubt that they might even be a militant or have any threat at all. Does Israel still fall inside the, quote, acceptable casualty range? I'm going to say probably not at this rate. Like, okay. But again, there's not really like a legal, there's not like a legal hard line for acceptable casualty range. It's to do with like particular strikes and operations, right? It's like whether or not a particular strike or operation, it's like a particular strike or operation that, where the civilian death exceeds the military advantage. So technically, like if every strike means that the military advantage is greater than 5 civilians, then you can do 1 million of them if you want. Like that's depending on what the military goal is, assuming you have a just goal. And I think even as she's saying, which I agree, like fighting Hamas that's a just goal. Like getting rid of that is a just goal. Big Joel. Contrapoints recently made a statement on Palestine, and I find this point the most interesting. That was really the only outcome of the outrage over Palestine over the last few years. Nothing plus slightly hurting Kamala's chances. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What else did it do? Does he have a follow-up? He does. Americans have profoundly changed their perspectives on Israel. The average Democrat is more inclined towards Palestine than Israel now. Is that nothing? Is our relationship with our greatest ally going to disappear in a day? It just seems she's applying an overly narrow measure of success. This is, again, it's like success to you and to all these fucking idiots is not help Palestinians, it's just hurt Israel. That's it. Democrats were actually more inclined towards Palestine even before October 7th. I remember citing polls for that. There were polls saying that before. I think 2022 was the first time when Democrats actually showed a preference for Palestinians over Israel. Yeah, for sympathies. But again, American support waning. Sorry, bitch, who's the president right now? It's fucking Donald Trump. What the fuck? Because it's not enough for Americans to switch allegiances. It's not enough for that. You need them to care about it to the point that it would influence their voting direction. And for Americans, foreign policy, never really going to be a high priority. Depends on how you ask the question. Sympathy for Palestine doesn't mean we're going to sell it out to Hamas. Yeah, well, shit. See, suck them reply, it's the same as those lefties. What? It's just such an inoffensive comment, really. Disappointing response. I don't know why you guys are disappointed at this point. Fucking hell. What, sucked? You mean sucked on left? I can't see anything he said. Maybe he's in Twitter replies? Or who are you talking about? Suck them. Oh, it's here. Arguing with Ben Shapiro's biceps. Wrong on point 3. Coverage clearly moved public opinion. See Gallup polls. She's right that building pro-Palestine opinion hasn't changed policy. We need to remove Zionist Dems and elect leftists. Okay. Good luck, son. Good luck. Vosh is going to say Contra is leaving the left. Oh, she'll be a Republican in 5 years, right? That's the Mike from PA. They think she's going Brianna Wu direction. Oh, God. Democrats in 2022 were plus 5 points towards Israelis. Democrats in 2025 are plus 35. Oh, so yeah, he knows. This was already the case. Yeah, 40-point shift in 3 years. It also does prompt the question: what's going to happen once the war stops and the next big news story is like a suicide bombing in Tel Aviv or something? And like, I don't know. I don't know if this is like. Again, Democrats can feel whatever way they want, but even when Democrats were already very sympathetic towards Palestinians, like, first of all, you have to think about what the other half of the country thinks if you're running for election. And second of all, the importance of each issue does matter quite a lot. And it's a foreign policy issue. Comments are pretty bad. Really. Fucking blue sky. I guess I just don't understand what activism even exists to do, or more broadly, what human anger at injustice exists to do under such a cynical account of things. I truly don't have an axe to grind with Natalie. I just keep thinking, like, Zohran Mamdani is the frontrunner to be mayor of New York, says he'd arrest Netanyahu. Was his a victory of the online left? At least kind of right. More relevant there than with Kamala, at least. Again, what's he going to do, though? He can't actually arrest Netanyahu. You know, that's just like him trolling online people to get votes. That's what that is. That's all that is. You think he's actually going to arrest Netanyahu? Bro, he's taking you for a ride. He's pulling a fucking fasty on you and you're falling for it. What else? They're so mad. Children are having their skulls blown up by tanks, but I'm also the victim here. God, these people are fucking mental. Holy shit. There's so many of these. I was scrolling through this a few hours ago off screen. I'm just like, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. What is Captain Fat Mike saying? If anyone said this about the Holocaust, it would be so patently absurd. Really? I wonder why. I wonder why people treat this one differently. Oh, Brianna Wu. Hey, even though Contrapoints' take is so different from Brianna Wu's, like can you imagine being in the headspace of someone who doesn't see any difference? How Lance Contrapoints is now Blair White. How do you cope? Oh man, I wish there was something I could do, you know? I wish there was something. She must have expected the response would be like exactly like this, right? And if she didn't, then it's her fault for not watching my streams, okay? That's where I am on that question. She should have known. Maybe you could invite her on. Excuse me, do you realize that, like, Contrapoints, if you don't want to get harassed by lefties, okay? Don't talk to me ever. That's it, okay? Don't talk to me ever. Don't let anyone know that you like anything I've ever said, or don't even let people know, okay, that you like my hair, okay? Because they will come for you. They will fuck you. They will fuck you into the next fucking millennium. You're not the most targeted person, though. People would go pretty fucking far with the ammunition if she spoke to me. Yeah, I can't believe this. Like they read that post and they thought Brianna Wu and Mike from PA obviously thought it was a fucking good take. That's the wrong one. I meant this one. Sean DeBlack blocked. Is this his entire day worth of content? Is it possible that me asking Contrapoints and getting blocked for it if she was liberal Zionist made her make that absolutely awful post? Yes, Mike. Yes. Yes, that's exactly what. Yes. Yes. You fucking pathetic, greasy, miserable fucking wretch. Oh my god. Yes, Mike. Yes. Yes, you're very important, Mike. Very, very important. So what's the verdict? I love soundboards. Yeah, we need more soundboarding. What is this? What is this aging frat bro? This pushing 40 pest saying about things? It's been a while.
Smart person, like a much smarter, much better thought out person than these people that I'm talking about. She's not like a random influencer that otherwise does like makeup blogs or whatever. And then
She's smarter
and that's
than
the
you.
reason why she's like trying to avoid controversy, because she doesn't want to get her like Lush sponsorship taken away from her. This is a political essayist, right?
Uh-huh.
So I guess, and I didn't like look too deeply into this at all, but I guess like the reason why she didn't say anything about this for a very long time was because, and by her own admission, it was because you won't like what she has to say. She was a PhD candidate in philosophy before YouTube. I know.
I know. It's so baffling. It's so confusing.
It was just,
yeah.
I
It
will
is
say
really
this
confusing,
much.
isn't it? I know. I love this fucking, and this is this standard like tactic, isn't it? It's like, I can't believe she would say such a thing. What? It's a genocide. I oppose it. I want it to stop. But also, I think that this ridiculous fucking lefty position of trying to abolish Israel from the comfort of their homes in the United States is a kind of ridiculous stance to take and is never going to work. Because, sorry, you can only get so far by comparing Israel to South Africa. You can only get so far. The moment you start actually learning a little bit about the history, about Jewish history, about Israeli history, about the Middle East, you're going to realize very, very quickly that it's not going to happen. Sorry. I have no idea why she would... I really thought she's a smart person. She's a very intelligent lady. I have no idea why she wouldn't want to join my chorus of supporting every destabilizing, disgusting, civilian slaughtering terrorist group in the region. I don't even possibly know. What's going on here? Fucking hell, dude.
Read too much into it. And I know people will say, well, she did a collaboration with Hillary Clinton. I think like that just spells that like someone is interested in pushing their platform further. That's what it could be.
Must be
what I
bad
mean?
faith. It can't possibly be that you and the fucking 20,000 mouth-breathing fucking dribbling retards in your audience support fucking terrorists who target civilians, by the way. Like never, sorry, for all the fucking clips that these guys try to grab from me, never gonna find one where I say, yes, this action that targets civilians is good. It's not like I'm celebrating it. You see the fucking Houthis boarding a fucking ship and pointing guns at completely uninvolved fucking Filipinos, threatening their lives, keeping them fucking hostage for over a year, and you're like, yeah, Luffy, anime, yeah, woohoo! Like some fucking frat bro watching your friend drink toilet water and get fucking shit-faced, and then like pushing shit in his ass when he passes out. Why is Israel attacking Hezbollah? Oh, I don't know. They were just kind of there, you know. They were just kind of they were knitting. They were just chilling, you know, doing peaceful Hezbollah stuff. That's why Israel attacked them. And also, I don't have an issue with Hezbollah anyway. Please don't know about Syria. Please don't bring that up, please. Why did the Jews flee Iraq? Anything other than the actual reason, which was that the local government was persecuting them. Yeah, fuck.
Black and white, okay? Straight up. So any sort of like, oh, I don't know, what about the other side's opinions? What about the other side's feelings on the matter? Like you are trying to intellectualize your biases in the wrong direction on this issue. Okay? That's it. It's a super simple situation. Masquerading this as like a conflict that puts progressive people who care about Palestinian emancipation against Jews is unironically a anti-Semitic thing to do.
Hey, let's go.
It's just a straightforward anti-Semitic thing to do.
By the way, let's lie about all the Jewish history in the Middle East, because if we say one bad thing that any Arab did ever, then we're going to be that's Islamophobic. That's racist. You can't do it. Fucking tool. All right. I just can't understand why she's not joining my fucking bandwagon of Luffy the Houthi and pro Hezbollah. It's so I don't understand. I thought she's a smart person. She's got a philosophy degree, and I thought she'd be completely on board with kidnapping Filipinos who didn't do anything. Fuck's sake. Fucking hell. Fucking pea brain. Have you rebooked your haircut yet? Nah, I forgot. That's the thing though, is like, you need to remember that a lot of people, and Hassan is part of this as well, 100%. Doesn't matter how much people want to fucking donate or like anything else. It's just that these people, like this guy right here,
That's
incredibly old, by the way, looking incredibly old there, pushing 40, which you might as well be 50 at that point, which is basically the same as 60, pushing 65. This guy, like, and all these people, they're not actually, the purpose of like engaging in politics is because you see something going on in the world and you want to affect some kind of change. You want something to happen. So you build coalitions, you build power, you try to get in the good graces of maybe some politicians who have power, or you try to replace politicians who have power but will never be swayed. You can't do any of that. Like, but for these guys, they're not doing that. They're not doing that. What they're doing is they're playing a game. They're playing a game of who is in the club where we get to self-validate and self-aggrandize morally. Who's in the club and who's not. And in the club with the flags and the fucking Palestine cape, whatever the fuck else, and the pictures of Layla Khalid and the picture of Al-Aqsa, like, who's part of this club? Well, it's us, and we say these things. This is what you say to be in the club. The people who support Houthis, the people who are apologetic for Hezbollah, the people who are like who would rather Iran won than Israel. Like, we're part of this club, okay? The campist, anti-West, anti-liberal, anti-democracy, even to a degree. Like, we're these people, and everyone else stays the fuck out. And that's all it is. It's about being part of a club. That's all it is. Because if you view their behavior through that lens, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Why the fuck else would you push someone out who wants... I thought it was about stop the genocide. So why would you push someone out who wants to stop the genocide? Why would you do that? Why? Why would you do everything you can to push them out, to be like, no, they're not allowed here. They must be a liberal or a Hillary or like a white... It must be that. And that's the difference, because a political camp, say like MAGA, they'll take fucking anyone. It's so easy to get into MAGA, right? You can have all these disputes. You can have isolationists in MAGA who don't want to get involved in any war at all, anywhere, ever. You can have interventionists in MAGA, like the biggest war hawk interventionists on the planet. Who did Trump appoint? It was all fucking bomb Iran people, right? Even though isolationists loved them as well. Right? You can have people who are very skeptical of the power of the wealthy and want to like take it to the rich. But then you also have people who support tax cuts to the rich. Like, MAGA is a movement that manages to incorporate so many people. And that's why they're a political movement. And this is also true of lefty movements as well. I think a lot of people forget this as well. Like, say with Pride in the UK in the 80s, there was a whole thing where the Communist Party, actually, a branch of the Communist Party, tried to do this thing where they were saying that lesbians and gays support the miners. They were supporting the miners' strike. Okay, this is an actual movement. And in today's world, that would never happen, because miners were homophobic. They were from rural towns. They'd never probably seen a fucking gay person. If you were gay and you grew up in a mining town, you'd probably move. You'd move to London or to like a major city. But this very innovative young communist dude, who died actually of AIDS not too long afterwards, he set up this drive to fundraise for gays, to fundraise for miners. And the miners, at one point, like, were very skeptical of it, obviously. There was only one, I think, Welsh mining branch that actually accepted their funds. And then they actually started campaigning together, and they held an event in London, like a gay miner event. And then it got to a point where, after the miners' strike ended, the Pride Parade of the 80s, like one of the most significant ones in British history, was actually led by the British Union of Mine Workers, because they turned up in such large numbers that they ended up leading the protests. And the Labour Party, for the first time, put gay rights into their party program. And there was a program that had been pushed out in the past, okay? But it was finally accepted that year, I think it was some point in the late 80s, because of a block vote from the miners, from the Union of Mine Workers. They were the ones that had the deciding vote. It's about coalition building, okay? Because miners didn't really give a fuck about gays, right? They didn't like, most of them didn't like gays, okay? And gays had no reason to like miners because miners were socially conservative. It didn't matter how unionized they were or how labor they were socially conservative. They were in some cases, these were the same people who had beaten the shit out of them as kids, like people from mining communities. But they had a political goal. They had a shared goal. The gays supported the miner strikes. The miners supported gay rights. That's what politics is, okay? This, whatever the fuck this thing is here. This is theater. This is just a guy doing a show. And it's people watching the show. It's a guy who's like part of a club. And the way that you make gains in this club is you don't affect political change, okay? You don't help people. You just signal how you just signal your belonging in the club. And then it's exclusionary. And it takes so little to get kicked out of the club. You deviate from the narrative, you're out. Done. So that's where you end up. Anyway, thanks for coming to my mold session. Your head is addled with novels and poems. What? I don't know what that means. Oh, hang on. Loner, how did you get so unfathomably big? Shut up. Glaze. Fuck off. Oh no. I feel bad for Natalie. She's never gonna hear the end of it. I think the next 3 days for her probably gonna be quite intense. If I were her, I wouldn't look. I would be. That's the kind of post you make when you feel like you're taking a 3-day off break. That's what I hope she's doing. Do I want to? I'm kind of bored of the fucking like lefty, because I feel like even that little fucking soliloquy, is that what that is? I haven't used that word in like 20 years. I don't remember what it means. A soliloquy is basically just like a fucking yap, isn't it? Yeah. That little fucking soliloquy was like, it just, even saying it just felt like, am I really just saying shit that I've just said over and over and over? Fuck, how do I make this like, I need to add something in here that I haven't done before to make it like fresh. I'm so bored of it, man. Fuck. But I also kind of want to just put out a feeler to see if anyone wants to debate why what she said was horrible. Can I just see that? Isn't that just streaming? Yeah, I guess. Because audiences come and go. I wonder if Vaush will defend her. Probably not. Ryan Beard pussied out. Actually, I want to DM and see what he says. I obviously can't tell you his response, but... Debate Ethan on her response. They've got a show in an hour. Whose response? Whose response? Did she say something to Ethan? Is that what happened? Huh? What response? Oh, the Reddit post. Why would I debate Ethan on it? I think Ethan's take on it is like kind of what I would have said. It sounds like he might, yeah. Ethan is crying. Yeah, I should call him. Debate traveling. I tried to debate traveling Israel, okay? He said no. Fuck you. I'm not going to just like ask him again. What the hell? Ethan would agree with everything she said. I disagree with a few things, but Ethan would be on board with all of that, I'd imagine. Debate Teuton. He's not here. And it's probably better that he's not here, okay? We're trying to... You know, content needs to kind of like, it needs to change up a bit every now and then. And I've basically just been doing Middle East stuff for the last 21 months. And it's like, just as well that, I mean, lots of stuff have happened, so I've had lots to talk about. But one day, you know, we're going to have to skip on to something else. And what that something else is, I don't know. Maybe half of you will leave because a lot of you seem to only give a fuck about Israel-Palestine. I don't know. Are you closer to Contrapoints' point of view or Destiny's? Based on that Reddit post, I don't know. It's hard to tell because I don't know how defensive or otherwise Destiny is on the aid thing, and also the I guess plan or lack thereof from Israel when it comes to Gaza. Like the direction of Israel and Trump on Gaza. I don't know if he supports or opposes it. Because I think the GHF thing is disgusting. I think it's actually like probably one of the worst things that Israel's done ever, not just in this war, right? And I actually do think, looking at it now from what I've read, and I haven't even read the worst of it, I don't think. From what I've read about the aid site shootings, I think I'm more inclined now to hold Israel like accountable for almost all of it. Like even because the cabinet wanted a different plan. They said, we want something that gets aid to people if it can, but definitely not Hamas. Mostly definitely not Hamas. That's the top priority. And then the chief of staff had to go through a bunch of different potential outlines for plans until one was approved by the cabinet. And that's kind of what we have now. And it is just the most obvious recipe for disaster I've ever fucking seen. Like I don't even need to do a whole long spiel about this. I was worried if I read this, I'll probably have to do like a whole breakdown from day 1 to day 2. All you need to do about this, okay? The only thing you need to say about this fucking ridiculous GHF Israel plan is let's get people who have been without food imports for 2 or 3 months, who are at best quite anxious about when their next meal is going to come, and let's set up 4 little hubs, 4 little stations, and let's have some shitty little fences with bad directions and only open each place for like an hour or 2 at a time, and have some IDF guys on the outside, and have Americans who have varying levels of experience or lack thereof in the inside. And let's do it in the middle of a fucking pile of in a barren wasteland in the middle of the summer, and let's just cram hundreds of thousands of people each day into these tiny little areas and let them queue in an orderly fashion in the heat in front of people with guns so they can carry a big box of aid back to their place. And let's not have any, let's have like a lack of signage up so people don't even know which direction to go in. Let's have a crowd, some of whom we know will have Hamas operatives inside there. So we know that there's going to be some scuffling at least. And let's give the troops no crowd control measures other than live ammunition to deal with a crowd of almost all civilians who are hungry and might rush and are confused by the directions. Let's do that and let's just see what happens. Yeah, what the fuck did you expect? Some of these instances were literally like, you heard about someone going to the aid station, picking up their box, and then they didn't know whether to go left or right to leave the aid station, and then they get shot at. And what's worse is we know that in previous situations in Gaza, we have had like aid stations in excessive numbers producing a shitload of stuff and open for wide periods of time, and so that people did not have to be like, oh shit, it's like 7 a.m. I don't even know if I don't get up there and run to the fucking station, I'm gonna miss my chance, and then I'll be hungry for the rest of the day, right? That's not a very difficult concept, is it? Or like, let's have people queuing up in the middle of summer in the Middle East in a barren wasteland and a pile of rubble and some fucking sand and a like flattened, like a recently paved road with no shelter. Like, what the fuck? And that's why, I said before any of this went into action that this was going to result in panics and shootings. 100%. 100%. Easiest prediction of my life, and it happened in day 2.